we go. 3, 2, and 1. Well, Mayor Doug, welcome back to Mayor's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com. First off, how was the fair for you?
Great. I was there early on the first day. Had an opportunity for the first time to have lunch with the fair board and some of the crews with the setup. A lot of work goes into getting the fair ready to go.
No doubt.
So we had a little lunch. They had a little kind of a pep talk, and I got a chance to, before a lot of people were there, go see the Optimist, and that. I'll visit that a couple of times during the week, and the exhibition barn, and then had a chance to go see the horses and the cows, and that's probably my favorite part. I'm not a real ride person now at my age,
Right.
But a lot of things were there for everyone. Some couple of good bands, Skillet or Skittle?
Skillet. Yep,
Yeah.
Skillet. Yep.
Didn't get a chance to attend, but I did hear it from the road.
Right. Yeah, and that's obviously something that Wausau really hangs on to. I mean, that's a real feather in the cap for us here. We can go on and on about the obvious economics of it. People come to town and spend money here and there, but it's also a way to showcase just what Central Wisconsin is all about, because it's the ag exhibits, it's the animals, and things like that, and the things that you don't always see here in the city, but it's a chance to showcase that and what the region's about.
Sure, and the fundraising that happens for those various charitable organizations, whether you're buying an elephant ear or the cheese curds, it goes to a good cause. A chance to kind of let your hair down and hang out in a beautiful weather. August is usually great weather, so yeah, great event, and hopefully it stays that way for years to come.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, I will put up with that week because my house is right there in the middle of that action area. I will put up with that week of navigating my street, if you will, because it is just that for the region. It is a great thing, and it's always a great week, one of my favorite weeks to get out there and kind of see the listeners face to face.
Our parks director, our parks department does a good job on that. It's a lot of extra work leading up to it, a lot of putting out electrical connections. So Jamie and her crew's great job, and it's everyone in the city pulls for it.
In fact, the fair was such a big thing that last week you canceled a lot of meetings, so the city council could attend, right? I'm sure that's exactly the exactly the reason why some of those meetings were called off. But I know one thing that you were going to be discussing, and it's a conversation that's been not new by any stretch of the imagination at all. It's 1300 Cleveland. I know the Economic Development Committee was going to look over some of the recommendations, the survey results from the neighborhood. Give us an idea of what exactly those results are, and where you see this conversation going as it continues to go through the committee level into the council.
Sure. So we've had several listening sessions. We've had 2 iterations of survey. We took the original survey and tried to prioritize. We went back to see if there was any refinement on it. We didn't get a lot of changes in what was desired there. But one of the things that you saw come out is people are concerned, is it going to get cleaned up? And the answer is yes. The approach that the city took was to get a development and do the cleanup in conjunction with the construction. So you're only excavating one time. So we'll have to see if we can make that happen simultaneously. At some point, do we get to a point where we don't have a developer on the hook and we decide to clean it up? And I think that's what some people have been asking for. We'll have to take a look at if that's an option or not.
Yeah, so you don't want to go to that right away, that option of the city absolutely gets all the cleanup done, preps the site, and then all of a sudden we find out, oh, we needed it prepped to a different standard or a different level because the developer that we've got wants to do this, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of people spending money that maybe they didn't have to, the city included, right?
Well, I think the level of cleanup is to residential standard. one thing that could be different if you had a basement in a facility versus no basement, how much soil has to be removed. I'm not a civil engineer, but I can tell you that typically the cost is going to be cheaper to do it in conjunction. But at some point, we've been sitting on it for 40 years. So do we make some decisions to get that cleanup going? One thing I did commit to is that we'll look at the beautification of just the site itself, not necessarily the soil, but in the short term, are we storing junk vehicles down there? If we are, we shouldn't be. Are we storing other junk, old equipment? And the answer is yes, we have. We can take some simple steps to, I say, beautify the area so that it doesn't look like a junkyard. I think that would be one of the first steps we could do, and an easy step to show that our intention is to make that a nice place.
And as far as the survey results go, I understand popular choices have been some sort of community center, a senior center, things like that. Is that something that you could see in that area, or is that maybe getting a little too far ahead of ourselves right now?
Well, no, a lot of those ideas came forward. Senior center, potential, some housing with the senior center. There was some outdoor rec, indoor rec. People threw out ideas like skating rinks, but each one of those are a little different in what type of developer you would need to come in. So if it was going to be strictly a community center operation, you would need a nonprofit or some organization to come in and sponsor that and develop that. So if that's the direction, we'll have to explore those until we find someone, or we go to the number 2 on the list or you take the top 3 ideas and you try to entice a bid from that list. But I think ultimately we want to complement the neighborhood, complement the proximity to a decent traffic corridor. You're not far from the highway, from Rib Mountain. So there's a lot of things that could go there.
And then as far as timeline for action and things like that, I understand that's something that residents have obviously been pretty vocal about, is that they want it cleaned up as soon as possible. How close are we to maybe granting that wish at this point?
Well, that is timing. Of course, we have the DNR, and we're on a clock for them. Now they are working with us to allow us to help find a developer and then do the cleanup closeout. So that's one piece of it. So how much can you reasonably expect to wait for a developer? And if it's going to be 5 years, maybe that's too far down the road and we start looking sooner. But I think people want to see something happen sooner than later.
Absolutely. But of course, seeing action, tomorrow or next week or something like that isn't something that people should expect.
Well, I think what you can expect is continued staff effort to move this forward. It sat idle for years and years and we weren't even talking about it. Now we're talking about it. We've made the commitment to a non-industrial use. And I think that's important for the residents there to hear. Non-industrial use means non-industrial use. So whether it's one of those items that they prioritized, hopefully it's on that list, but it will be non-industrial use.
Absolutely. Last thing then before we let you go is, as far as the budget goes, obviously you wanted to make a kind of a concerted effort to start the budgeting process a little earlier this year. Here we are in August. How's the budget coming?
Well, directors have their guidance on where they need to be, so they're putting their cost to continue budgets in. There's a lot of pieces yet to come in as far as the shared revenue, what our health insurance is going to be. But if we start building that base budget and then adjust the numbers as we know what they are, I feel like it might be a little less of a lift this year than last year. Last year we were roughly $4 million short. This year I think we're going to be in the area of 1 to 2. But so that still means there's going to be some cuts required. I'm looking at a lot of the administrative stuff that you've seen in the news, we've had some concerns with. And maybe there's an area, a ability to boost that up. But I think council wants to see things earlier, and we're gonna give it to them earlier. Maybe pieces, parts, as soon as we get it. Doesn't have to be the whole book at one time, but if they can get pieces early and get input, I think we'll be in a better spot.
And obviously, this is going to be, kind of way early, but I'm going to ask you anyway because I'm the news director and it's my job. So
Yeah.
cuts for $4 million, like you had talked about for last year, to cuts to $1 to $2 million. What do those look like? I mean, is $1 million, is that cutting a couple of staff positions, or is it maybe just going without a few office supplies for some of these departments?
Well, if it was just the office supplies would be nice. So last year we did hold open some vacant positions. So how long do you keep those open? I think the intention is to try to add them as much as possible. So you could still see some shortfalls in filling vacancies. We're also looking at areas to reduce spending. The PD cut some spending on some radios and they deferred that for a year. Can you wait another year? I think not. So those are gonna come back on the budget. Someone else may have to take a haircut. But I think it'll be less painful this year, but I don't think we're gonna be in a pain-free, either for staff, our departments, or the council for decision-making. We're gonna put some hard choices in front of council, they're gonna have to make them.
Then, as far as shared revenue goes, I know the governor did have a release about the amount of shared revenue. I can't remember what the exact amount it was that all the municipalities statewide have shared. But since that formula was adjusted, have things kind of been looking better for the city, getting that shared revenue tied to the actual financial gains that the state realizes through taxing?
We've gotten incremental increases year over year. I haven't seen it yet. I would say it's not significant. We do have some increase in roads. I think the governor pledged like 3% more on roads this year, so that'll be helpful. That's probably the biggest weakness right now is roads adjusted for inflation. We're spending half on what we did 10 years ago. Just to keep our head above water, we've got to spend more, and that's any state aid there is very helpful.
And of course, any quiet winter is helpful for that as well, as you've done a couple of times through your administration, being able to, even if it's only 20 some blocks, that's massive.
Right. We just talked about this. We had a retirement down at DPW, a 23-year veteran leaving, and they're there working 16 hours on a Sunday when we had the 31
Oh,
inches
yes.
of snow. It'd be nice to kind of trim back some of that overtime with a little light winter. This year we probably don't have as much of that for asphalt overlay, but it all comes together at the end, whether we like it or not.
Absolutely. Well, Mayor Diny, we always appreciate the time and look forward to chatting again next month.
Michael, see you next month.